Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Full Circle Podcast. I'm Lexie Brown here with my girl, Mariah Rose, and we have a very special guest today. I say this about all our guests that they don't need an introduction and then proceed to list out their incredible resumes. So I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. We have the Naismith Player of the Year, former National Freshman of the Year, 2018 third overall pick, 2019 All WNBA second team player and All-Star, 2021 WNBA champ, and one of my best friends in the entire world since we've been little babies. I would love to welcome Diamond DeShields to the podcast. Clap it up, clap it up. Yay!
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, you gotta say that. You gotta say that a little bit louder because people
Woo!
like to
They
forget.
sure do.
People like to
They do like to
forget.
forget. That's why I had
But
to include all of the things. Diamond, oh
oh my
my God.
gosh, look at
I know, Mariah,
us.
are you feeling like a third wheel already? Sorry.
Honestly, no. Like I feel like I'm watching. I feel like I'm in the audience.
Diamond, welcome.
I just would like to acknowledge over 15 years of friendship. Can't too many people stand on that
Sure
like
can't.
that. And I'm just really grateful to be here, part of your podcasting career and journey. And, thanks for having me, both of you guys.
I'm so happy that you're
Of
here.
course.
Before we get into all things Diamond, we got to talk about the games over the weekend. So, Diamond, what have your thoughts been about the tournament so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think the tournament's been dope. I think that it's been there have been some really, really good games. Whereas I think that like when we were in college, it was like a lot of blowouts, probably until around the Elite Eight. So it's been good to see all the ladies out there competing, all the ladies out there really standing on business. Like the platform is here and they have continued to deliver on having that platform. I've just really appreciated seeing such a good product be put out each and every night. It's been cool.
Yeah, this weekend's games were. I was on the edge of my seat. Now, Duke, moment of silence.
Oh, so close. But I told y'all
Yeah,
the score was going to be mad low. Like, I told you that was going to happen, but
their defense.
they be locking up. I mean,
that defense be on
but I'm
point
just
though.
like, when you play all that defense and you don't want to go score, like, I'm just not understanding like the lack of capitalizing off of all the stops that they get. That's the only thing that's been frustrating to me about Duke since Kara got there. I mean, she's been doing a great job, but like their inability to like score the ball consistently has been like so frustrating for me. And I hope that they can fix that because they got this close. They got the ACC
They don't
championship.
got that sniper.
No, they don't. They really who?
They
how
need
many?
That need that sniper.
Let's talk about it because how many teams really got snipers on there? Like, let's think about it.
Girl, the shooting is Paige Beckers is carrying. Okay, she's carrying in terms
I was gonna
of
say,
straight
bro.
shooting.
I feel like at the end there, Duke was handing it away.
Yeah.
I felt like they were missing costly shots. I felt like the turnovers were crazy. I was getting upset. Like they would get the stop and then do nothing
No,
with
exactly.
it. It was so frustrating.
I feel the same way. And it's not just a Duke thing. I've been locked into the tournament, and these are the best teams in the country that make the tournament. And it's like the lack of shot creating, the lack of consistent outside shooting, and not even, I shouldn't say the lack of shooting, period. Like there's a team,
Yeah.
Texas. I think they shot 5 threes last game. And I know everyone's been
Yeah.
complaining, oh, too many threes. But it's like the game is changing. And the fact, I mean, that they made it this far, so you can't really say too much about it. But the fact that they're taking less than 7, 8 threes a game is so crazy. And it makes me sad because when you get to the next level, shooting is so vital. It's so important. And it's gonna keep you employed because every team needs a shooter. And I'm looking at college and I'm not seeing no shooters.
I just feel like it's not nobody that we're like after a timeout, you like make sure you guard her. They finna run her off a stagger, or she coming through an elevator. It's like, so Like,
What now?
like
How
please,
so?
please.
Like, it's actually
Do y'all
nuts.
feel like that it's because of a lack of shooting or it's because of a high level of defense being played?
I think it's a
Or just a lack
combination.
of
Well, because
shooters?
even when you have good defense, the scorers, they gonna find a way to score. They gonna find a way to get their shot off. And maybe we got too comfortable watching like the Caitlin Clarks and who else? The Enriques players. I mean, I didn't even shoot that many threes when I was in college, but I feel like the last like 5, 10 years, there's always been like 2 or 3 players that gonna hit like a ton of threes in a game or go on like a burner for like a few games. And we don't have that right now. And I don't like that.
It looks like I don't know, the releases look slow.
Yeah.
Like releases just they don't look as
Yeah.
quick in order to like be deemed like a pure shooter. Like a lot of players have this like gather or this, you know, the ball is not getting where it needs to go fast enough. So like by the time they release it, it just you could tell when somebody's a
Right.
shooter pretty much. Like even when they missing, you could just tell by how they mechanically are approaching their shot. And it's not a lot of players that I've seen in college right now that like really have
I would
that.
say the last like shooter like that I've seen in college was Taylor Micazell. And she
Yeah.
was in Sparks training camp
Yeah.
this past year. She came and played in Athletes Unlimited. And that girl can shoot the ball. Oh my gosh. Like she can, and I
But
haven't
think about, I
seen
mean, the players that we like when we was in college, like
I just want to say, put out there,
too much
I'm
firepower.
heartbroken that we're not getting this Juju Page
Man,
Elite Eight
me
matchup.
too.
I'm
I know.
heartbroken about
Me
it.
too. And they were even before Juju got hurt, they were not hyping this matchup up like I thought they would have. Like they were seeing Juju and Paige. Like you would have thought that they was on the same team, like the way that they're being like aligned together, which I love. But this rivalry that everybody thinks is absent in women's basketball is right there. It was right there. And we decided
That
to
just
not.
goes to show,
It
you know, the
wasn't the
media.
right rivalry, I
Duh.
guess. Like, I
They
guess.
control
Because I'm like the
We talked about that. They still had the opportunity to market that the same way they marketed Caitlyn, Angel, bad girl, good girl, whatever, whatever. I guess looking at both Paige and Juju, both of them are so cool that it is kind of hard to pull at something to be
But I'm
like,
like,
who gonna be the
yeah,
villain?
right.
Yeah.
But do we need villain like that? We said it last week. Why do we need a villain? Like that men's
Yeah.
college don't got a villain right now. They got Cooper Flag and everybody else.
Okay, I wouldn't compare it to that though, because I'm bored out of my mind with that. Like I like the storylines.
Yeah, they
The
have none.
games have been great. I was at the games this weekend actually, but as far as the storylines,
I mean, can we talk about how the men's tournament is 1 seed, 1 seed, 1 seed, 1 seed?
I know.
It's a first. It
That
hasn't
happened in
happened in a really long
forever. I
time.
think it's like only the second time ever. And I'm like, I mean, that's great. You do want the best teams to make it to the end, obviously. But like, that's boring.
No
It is.
upsets,
Like,
no
no
116
Cinderellas, no
upsets,
nothing.
yeah.
No, nothing.
It is
It's
boring.
boring.
And they thrive off of that because as I always say, the women's tournament has the advantage of having storylines of us seeing them play each other for so
Yeah.
long that we
Yeah.
get hyped up and create these rivalries. Whereas the men's tournament doesn't have that. So all they really have for us to become obsessed with the team is the Cinderella stories.
Mhm.
And
there's been a lacking.
Cooper
I always
Flag.
look I always look forward to seeing like Florida Gulf Coast and Wichita
Yeah,
State
that does. It's
and
not
like
happening no more.
Providence.
Those days
like,
are over.
Yeah, nah.
Those days
It's
are
over with.
over. I'm seeing freaking transfer portal news already. People committing to new schools already. I'm like, dang, can the tournament end?
don't get me started on the transfer
Like,
portal.
we gonna
I
talk about that
can't.
too because me and Diamond are both transfer kids. Okay, so if you guys didn't know, me and Diamond have been friends since the 7th grade. And we met playing on an AAU team together. I was still living in Florida. She lived in Atlanta. And the team name was the Georgia Ice. So, Diamond, can you tell the people a little bit about that team? Because we were iconic and we were only 12. And yeah.
So the Georgia Ice was a group of rowdy 12-year-old girls who were going to come into your 15U tournament and win it every weekend. And by the time people realized what was happening, it had already happened. And we were playing up about 2 age groups every weekend, and we were killing people. Like,
Killing.
it wasn't like, I don't even know how to describe it. We had a team, we had 5 dads on the team who played professional sports. Was it 5?
Guys, we were the Nepo kids.
Yeah, we were the Nepo kids of AAU.
We were the Nepo babies of AAU.
So it was
The Nepo babies.
me, my dad played for 13 years in MLB. Lexie's dad played in the NBA, obviously. We had Taryn Griffey, who was the daughter of King Griffey Jr. We had Kayla Davis, who's the daughter of Antonio Davis.
I grew up with her.
We had Peyton Whitted, whose dad played pro.
Christina Nelson.
Kevin Whitted. Christina Nelson. Her dad played in the NFL. He played in the NFL, Mr. Herb?
I'm not sure, but he played.
He played professionally.
Yeah, he played something.
Or he played football. So we was just like we were just big and like athletic and just like we had the flyest uniforms.
The best shoes.
We had players flying in on a private jet to practice once a week. Like Taryn and Lexie were coming in. They were coming into practice on a PJ. Like,
guys, I have never told people this before because I've been waiting for years to have this platform with Diamond so we could talk about what the hell we was doing in middle school.
Listen, if we had NIL when we was in middle school, we'd be in a very different place right now.
Absolutely, all of us.
Like,
yes, I mean,
it was crazy.
I remember I was on my varsity team in 8th grade. And we had I don't know, for some, like, we didn't miss practices. Like, we weren't one of those teams that gathered for tournaments. Like, we were in practice. Like, we practiced every week.
Yeah.
So me and Taryn got on a little private plane and flew to Atlanta for the day. So one day I had a game. We had practice that morning. I got on a private plane with the Griffies, flew to Atlanta, practiced, flew back, missed the first half of my game.
I just remember picking Taryn up from the airport one day, and it was like Griffey Airlines. I was like, bro, what the hell going on here?
Like we were moving so different, and we were kids, and we didn't. Social media wasn't a thing yet. Like, we didn't even realize what type of life we were living and how abnormal it was. Like, we just thought
we played.
Don't worry, everyone else did.
We're just going to practice.
We played a tournament in Orlando one year, and the whole team stayed at the Griffey's house.
That's how big their house was.
It was bowling alley in the basement. It was a go-kart track around the house. It was like the craziest house I've ever been in. And we was just in there, you know, we couldn't make no TikToks in there. We couldn't really show off what was going on. But like, we all stayed in that house and was comfortable
10 of
too.
us. Everyone had a bed if they wanted one. But you know us, we all slept on the sectional, watching movies, scary movies.
Aww.
Just being kids, man. It was so great.
It was, kids don't...
Y'all know y'all are gonna have to bring it back when you have kids one day.
My daughter's playing tennis. I've already,
Listen,
my daughter's playing tennis.
I'm just trying to survive in this economy right now. Like, we're gonna revisit the kids in a few years.
Fuck them kids, actually.
Real.
Okay, but as amazing as our friendship was, we did have a little rough patch, Diamond.
Yeah, we did.
I want to tell everybody that me and Diamond were actually supposed to go to Maryland together. And she went to North Carolina instead. So honestly, I've never really even asked you about what that thought process was like because we were kids. You've committed when we were seniors? Was it our senior year? Yeah, I've been committed to Maryland since 10th grade. So I've been spending the last 2 years of my life trying to convince Diamond to come to Maryland with me. And I thought we had her. We went on a visit together and everything. And I wake up one morning and she going to North Carolina. I said, oh, girl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a great choice.
Well,
I mean, at the time, like, it made sense. But I want to know, like, and you can tell our listeners like what that decision was like and like the hype around it. Like it was just different back then. Like again, no social media, nothing. So when you were like one of them girls, you was really one of them girls. And that was Diamond.
Yeah.
Like,
When you got that ESPN alert, whenever you did something, it was like,
yeah, this was Diamond committing to North Carolina. So like what was that like decision like and how did they convince you to go there? All that kind of stuff.
yeah, I mean, it was, Maryland, North Carolina, Duke, Tennessee, South Carolina, or UConn was my top five.
Moment of silence for that. That is
Elite.
tough.
And, so it wasn't an easy decision, right? Like there were so many, well, I can't say that making that decision in this day and age would have been easier or harder, but back then you had to really try and gauge what a career would look like at this a 4-year career would look like at these universities. It wasn't, oh, I'm gonna just go see if I like it and then like leave, like so by the time I had made my decision, obviously I had, our AAU coach at the time, he was very influential in me making that decision, kind of, laying out the cards of what it could look like if I went to this school, this school, this school, this school. And so, yeah, it was a pretty spontaneous decision. I mean, looking back on it, like, I would have done things very, very differently. Like, I didn't even tell my parents that I was committing. Yeah. So
She didn't tell me.
looking back
I was
on
her
it,
best friend. She
yeah,
didn't tell me.
I didn't
She didn't
tell
tell
anybody,
bro.
Girl, bye. She didn't tell
She didn't
mama.
tell
Yeah, so
nobody.
I don't, I'm not proud of that, but that's how it happened for me. That's my story. And yeah, I went to North Carolina, had a great freshman year. And then obviously things changed after that.
I'm curious, when you made that decision to go to North Carolina, what was it about North Carolina that made you want to go there so much so that it was like, okay, I'm making this decision. I don't care what nobody else has to say about it.
Um, I just felt like there was a big opportunity for me to kind of brand myself as like this female MJ type of character in women's basketball. Obviously there was Maya Moore, who you could never touch, but I was like, you know what, if I go to North Carolina and I wear number 23 and I go there and do all the things that, I know I'm supposed to do, everything was about setting yourself up to make money at the next level. And so at the time that felt like, there wasn't a lot of games being televised on women's basketball, like if you wanted to play on TV, you either went to UConn, you went to the 5 schools that were in my top 5. So everybody that could make decisions around those 5 schools was doing it. And yeah, it felt like the right kind of fit for the image and the archetype that I was trying to become.
Then honestly, you did the right thing by making the decision and just doing
And
you.
I'm gonna add a little bit more context for y'all because Diamond didn't like look at North Carolina and was like, oh no, I'm going. They had the number 1 recruiting class that they like magically assembled in like record time. Like, what was it, 5 of y'all? 4 of y'all?
It was 4 of us. Yeah, and after I committed, I called each and every one of them and it was like, I just committed, what y'all trying to do? And they all committed the same day.
So you assembled the Avengers, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was like, yeah, basically the little freshman Avengers was coming in. And like you fast forward to like 2025 and that happening, like they gonna be on Slam, they gonna be doing interviews, they gonna be in commercials together. Like that's how big of a deal that decision was at the time because people was not teaming up like that going into college. Like people would maybe eventually team up via transfer portal, things like that. But like doing it straight out of high school, like that was something that had never been done before. So yeah, I was pissed. But then I was like, I mean, I get it. And then you hear her explanation. And I mean, I know a lot of people don't remember Diamond in high school, but like she was just like a tier above the rest of us. Like it was actually insane. I mean, what she was doing at 17, 18 years old, like was something that we have never seen before. So as mad as I was like, whatever. We actually didn't speak all through college though.
No, we didn't. It was a
It was
sour.
quiet.
All of the years from freshman to draft to
We
Yeah, man.
connected at the draft. Yeah, it was like
Wow.
a
And even
real
then, like, she was still a little tight. She was still, like, a little tight at me, and then, like, COVID hit, and it was like, I went to the house, we had a glass of wine, we realized we still loved each other, we're
yeah,
fine.
we had a red table talk with my mom,
Both our moms were like, for years, we're like, "Y'all need to talk,"
and I was like,
like, "You
"No,
this is not supposed to happen."
no, nope." And then I don't know. Yeah, I mean, COVID changes people, you know?
Well, both of you had I wasn't there for any of the situation, but this looking on it, this is something that people can relate to as far as recruiting goes. It's like, Diamond, you had a decision to make for yourself that you felt like you saw it, you saw how you can market yourself, you saw how it was gonna work, and I have to put me
No,
first, the
facts.
TikTok sound. But
Facts.
you that moment, but Lexi, you at the same time were like, but I had these plans for us.
Literally.
And so I see both sides of it that like, which is good that you came
Yeah,
together.
Yeah.
but, you know, she had that amazing year, but you decided to transfer. So what went into that decision? And it's different now, like, you have to sit out a whole year, so you taking all that momentum and putting it literally on hold for an entire year. So
Yeah.
I mean, I transferred too, like, it's not easy. So when you decided to transfer, like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, so it was a couple things. Like when I decided to transfer, like, and again, this is something that people don't know. I had a stress fracture my senior year of high school. I had a stress fracture in my shin that I played through. Like every day in high school, my senior year, I had a walking boot on or I was in crutches or on crutches. So I would literally crutch into the arena for games, put my shoes on, play, and crutch out. And so when I got to North Carolina, I was still dealing with that stress fracture. And it was the same situation. I had a walking boot all season pretty much. I was getting multiple PRP shots in my shin. My leg was like, y'all saw Kevin Ware snap his leg. Like that was gonna happen to me at any given moment. So when I decided to transfer, it was kind of like I needed the rest for one, because I had to get surgery. To me, it kind of made sense in terms of my health. But then there was also just like the basketball of it. Like my freshman year, I never got to play for two of the coaches actually that I made my decision behind was Trisha Stafford Odom, who had recruited me at the time. She had came from Duke. She's the one who put that entire freshman class
Mhm.
together. And when we all committed and signed, they fired her. Um, and yeah, it broke all of our hearts. So even coming in, I was already just like, and they say, you shouldn't make a decision because of the assistant or whatever. But man, the assistants are the ones who really be on the phone with you. They're really the ones who get to know your family and who take that time out. You can't always necessarily be on the phone with a head coach constantly. They have so much to do. So that happened. And then also, Coach Hatchell got sick, which you can't falter for. She was very ill, never coached a single game for me my freshman year. So there was just like a lot going on within the organization, like the team at the time that just like even from just the moment I stepped on campus, it was just like this is not what I came here for. So from the moment I got there, I knew I wanted to leave, which sounds crazy,
They all
but
left though, guys. The whole class.
yeah,
They all slid.
yeah,
So it wasn't just Diamond, but the only one who got a lot of pushback for it was Diamond. Even though they oh no, Jessica stayed, right? Then she left later. She left later. Yeah, she left later. But they all ended up not graduating from North Carolina, that whole class.
yeah,
Um, so when you transferred, you get to Tennessee. You had your surgery in Tennessee, or you had it at home?
yeah. I had my surgery. No, I had it in Knoxville.
So, like, being hurt and sitting out, like, mentally, I know you were a baby at that time. Like, what was that like for you? Recovering, sitting out, people questioning your decision every day, pretty much. Like, how are you dealing with that?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a different time. Like it was just like when you're one of those faces in women's basketball back then, everything just feels a lot heavier. So it was it was the aftermath of my transferring via UNC fans and alums and all of that. then there was also just the anticipation in Knoxville of like, when's she gonna play? You know, we're so excited, da da da. So it was like, yeah, I was mourning my freshman year, my decision. I was like pretty sad about it all, but there was also just so much excitement that I had to look forward to for when I could finally play a year post making that decision. So like I was good, like I wasn't really tripping. You know, I was in Knoxville. My mom went to UT, so I'd spent time in Knoxville growing up. Like that was where I wanted to be at. So I was just like eyes forward the whole time.
And you finally were gonna get to play healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it was, yeah, like again, it was just a different time. You know, you had to consider that sit out year and you had to really say, is it going to be worth it? And
Mhm.
so anybody who transferred during that time, like they knew that that's what they wanted to
Yeah.
do. It was important for them to find a new home somewhere else.
Who was on the team then? Like, who are your teammates at Tennessee?
Mercedes Russell, Jordan Reynolds, Jamie Nard, Andrea Carter, Bashard Graves,
Andrea was
Isabel
still oh, y'all
Harrison.
was stacked.
Yeah, we had a squad. We had a
That's
squad.
what that's 3 WNBA players on one team. Not like and
Yeah.
not these are not fringe W players. These are like key rotational pieces to WNBA teams. And I mean, I don't think people also realize that about how different the W or the women's college landscape is now. Like you're not seeing that really on teams anymore. You're not seeing 3, 4, sometimes 5 at UConn because that's what it was. WNBA players on the same
Yeah.
team. And for me, like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a good and a bad thing. So I'm like interested to see how you feel about it. Like, yes, like the parody is good, but you also want to see like the best players playing with the best players. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, it was just a different time. You know, like we were we were all trying to be seen. We were all trying to be relevant in conversation, and the only way you could do that was going to those one or two camps in the summer, you know, playing in those 3 or 4 AAU tournaments and going to these 8 to 10 schools. Like it wasn't you had to go up against the best players to even be mentioned in those conversations. You know, so yeah, whenever you saw, you know, AAU teams, it was like, oh damn, all them played together. Like, yeah, because we gotta go up against these motherfuckers over here and they all top 15, like, you know, so and we trying to get on that level.
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot more, you know, joining of forces because of
Yeah.
that. And I think that the money and the NIL, everything kind of just spread everything out. So now it's really you just trying to get paid,
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
seems.
I was gonna say now, it's interesting to hear you talk about you being somebody who would have definitely capitalized so
What?
much of off of NIL even in high school. But hearing now, there's a benefit to being the girl on the team. You know what I'm saying? You don't wanna join
Yeah,
forces and risk not
The
being
girl.
the girl on the team because
yeah,
then when it's time to pick somebody to be in the commercial, they're looking at her and they're not looking at you. So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know if I wanna team up
Yeah.
like that because that might hurt
exactly.
my
It's
bag.
so
Plus this little small school
crazy.
over here
It's so
might pay
crazy.
me this, and it's just like a
Like the fact that
mess.
these are the conversations we're having about college kids is nuts. And I knew this was gonna happen when the NCAA was like, here, damn. Like, no rules, no regulations, no nothing. And I just did the world underestimate the power of like college athletics, of women athletes? Like, I just feel like the NCAA was like, okay, like here, y'all gonna fall on y'all's face because y'all ain't gonna know what to do with it. And I think that it's it's been bigger and crazier than they probably was even imagining.
I would argue if they had NIL back then and social media and TikTok and everything, because you look at the top 5 most followed athletes in March Madness right now, top 4 are women and the 5th is Cooper Flag, and he's the most popular player in the men's tournament. So I feel like we honestly probably would be in a different space if women were getting marketed the same back then, because as you can see, when we are getting marketed, which we've gotten to take in our own hands because of social media,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
works. and it's because like women are when you look at the way that they do their NIL deals or the way that they do their ads or the way that they make their TikToks, like y'all's TikToks at the sleepover when you were 12 would have been way more interesting than a college basketball player going to Cane's and being like,
Yeah, like my
yeah,
chicken
I got chicken
tenders.
tenders.
I love Cane's.
Yeah,
That's literally how they
exactly.
be looking.
Well, and
Here's my Cane's.
and it's just like we were very marketable, you know? So it's like to y'all's point, like a lot of the deals getting done, it's like take an athlete and just give them a script and then have them stand in front of the sign. And it's just like, where's the character? Where's the personality? Where's the desire to want to, make this a lasting partnership? I feel like for a lot of these kids, it's just coming in so easily. They just like, come by this, we'll do, but there are those other athletes, right? Like Flau'jae, I mean, she making music, she doing the song, the acting, her own stunts,
Her
like
own podcast.
yeah, she maximizing. So shout
Even
out
the things
Flau'jae.
y'all mentioned as far as the uniforms, having the flyest shoes, actually like playing with swag, like
I don't
having
think
that extra added
how we
factor.
walked around at 12 and 13 years old was ridiculous. Like you would have thought we were like I don't know. Like you couldn't tell us
But Lexie,
nothing.
you talk about all the time. You were doing the social media thing in college, and they were
And
faulting
they were
you
like,
for
get
it.
off the internet. And I was like, no, I won't.
How about this? We wasn't even allowed to be on the internet in college. You couldn't be on social media at all during
How
the
about
season.
they took our
and on the
phones
road,
on road
they
trips
taking that phone. Yeah, that phone getting took. You get it back on the
on the
bus
butt
after the
if you
game.
win. Don't lose.
So they
Don't lose on the
was
road.
hating.
Don't lose on the road.
They was hating out the gate.
Yeah.
They ain't want y'all to be nothing other than this across the front. That's what
We
you
couldn't
were
even
while
post
you was in
pictures or
school.
nothing in the uniform unless we were at like media stuff. So
Wait, I'm shocked by
no,
this.
it was
Girl,
bad.
yeah.
And
shocked.
I say it all the time, and people are like, Lexie, shut up. No, it affected everybody, and not everybody is as vocal about it, obviously. But it didn't just affect me. I just kept doing it. And whatever. My career probably went differently had I just shut up and stopped posting and proved to everybody that I just am obsessed with basketball, blah, 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 blah. But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be myself. So yeah, would my career have been maybe a little different? It's one of the reasons why I left Maryland. They was clocking my shit 24/7. I got pulled in the office to like take pictures down. Like, yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, like they was on that.
And it's crazy. It's so old school. Ugh.
Why are you tweeting at midnight?
I had a compliance meeting for my senior pictures. It was like, are you modeling? Are you getting paid? I said, y'all,
Guys,
those are my senior pictures.
Compliance, bro. They were like enemy number
yeah.
one. Like just clocking
Yeah.
you. Like, I don't think you guys understand. Like when we talk about this NIL stuff, not only could we not get money for things, we couldn't even get things, period. Like if a brand wanted to send us some clothes or something, no, violation.
You could be starving. You couldn't even get a damn hot dog at the tailgate.
Facts, you're right. We couldn't even get food at the tailgates.
We'll be at the tailgate. The boosters be wanting to feed us. Y'all, the food be looking so good, barbecue, all that. We'll be like, bro, I'm sorry.
It's a benefit. You can't take it.
Can't even eat a hot dog.
No, it was strict.
So for real.
It was strict. So everyone was like, y'all just hating because no, we're not hating. We are so happy for y'all because college used to be prison.
Yeah.
Like
I'm so happy. Even at UT right now, we couldn't have visible tattoos, girl.
Oh yeah.
So when I went into practice and I seen all this, I said, wow. Look at us.
But this is proof. It's not marketing. Isn't just ESPN.
I mean, Brittany Griner used to talk about it all the time. Yeah, Brittany Griner talked about it all the time. That's why she had to wear the long sleeves in college. Because Kim wouldn't let her have her tattoos out.
Well, but on the other side, it's like, again, there were only a handful of universities that were on TV. So when you went to that school, you had to be the textbook picturesque women's basketball program. It couldn't be all that extra stuff because, again,
it was so
the
limited.
platform was only so large. you know? So it's like looking back, I get it too to that extent. I'm just so happy at how far we've
Yeah.
grown,
I mean, and
you know?
society has grown and changed too. It's just like in hindsight, you're like, see, if you just let everybody be themselves, the brand would have grown. But like, no, it wouldn't have. Not 10 years ago. People were still very closed minded and small minded. I mean, they're still very closed minded and small minded people, obviously. But it's not like it was. So yeah, I mean, I'm with Diamond. Like, yeah, you understand the things that we had to do and how universities had to present themselves to the world because it was only you only had this much a little bit of time to show what women's basketball was and who these athletes are and what they represent and what they're going to be at the next level. But like now, it's like a free for all. Like you don't even have to. Your team doesn't even have to be good anymore.
Oh,
You
you don't
don't
even
even
have to
No.
have
be
to
good
be
anymore.
good anymore. Let's
I was
start
gonna say
there.
that too,
You
because
don't
there's a
even have to be
few.
that good anymore. I was we're talking about Flage as one of the college girls who's doing all of the right things. I do also want to shout out Deja Kelly, who I feel like is another one that has capitalized more than anybody. And she has her own podcast called Philosophy, I want to say. So she talks like NIL stuff. So that's fire. Shout out to her. And I saw a clip of her with Raven Johnson from South Carolina, and she was on there talking about, yeah, they're bringing me deals and deals and deals. Like I don't have time to like do anything because we're at shoots for like 3 to 4 hours a day and all this kind of stuff. And that's always been my thing. I'm like, when do y'all have time to like get better for real? And I think maybe that's why we've seen the stagnation in the
It do not
players.
matter.
I'm just like, because I know me and I know you. I was in the practice facility hour before practice, after practice, at nighttime. I lived in our practice facility. I just, yes, I am a big proponent, 24 hours in a day, but I don't know how, I don't know how them girls are doing it. I really don't. Cause
Fashion Week, the Met Gala, like
Girl,
Nike commercial,
girl.
Gatorade commercial, Aflac
On
commercials.
the LSU, the documentary that they did about LSU, like athletic department or whatever, Flage mom said that they turned down a Google thing for like, I mean, we will have to fact check, but I believe she said like half a mil. They had to turn it
Cause
down.
she didn't have time.
She didn't have time. Like she just couldn't make it happen.
That's
I said, yo,
crazy. I mean, you can't
yo.
help but be so happy for all of them, but it's just like, all right, like at what cost now? Like I feel like as many pros there is, the cons are starting to pile up a bit. And I mean, yeah, money. I think who said it? I think Sedona said it. Sedona Prince from TCU, who actually spearheaded. I know people have their opinions on Sedona right now. I know they do, but you got to give her credit for like she jump started all this shit with her little weight with
Yeah,
with the
her weight
TikTok.
room video. So whatever,
yeah.
feel how y'all feel about her, whatever. But the fact is, if Sedona doesn't post that video, we're not here right now. I don't care what nobody says. It's not happening. She made this thing jumpstart, but even her saying, you gotta like think long term sometimes. Sometimes that little 100K, like it might look pretty right now, but like long term, like you gotta weigh your options. She said that this whole thing gave her the ability to play basketball probably longer than she might have in the past with injuries, transferring, off court stuff. But her NIL stuff has like kept her relevant despite all the off court stuff. So even you look at Haley Van Lith, the COVID NIL, the way she was able to get that additional year, it's changed her career. This put her career back on track that fast.
I want to ask both of y'all about being transfer kids because there's been a lot of talk in the media about the transfer portal. And I know I get asked by my audience all the time about the transfer portal, but I feel like no better two people to speak on it than y'all. And Diamond, you speaking on, I had to really decide where I wanted to call home because I was going to have to sit. What do you guys think the solution is?
Man, bring that sit out, bring that sit out rule back.
Bring it
Bring
back.
that sit out rule
Bring
back.
it back.
You still get to
Bring it
leave.
back.
I don't think they should put any hindrance on NIL deals, nothing. But sit your ass down because you're not,
I
or
agree.
go back to you get one time to leave. You get
Yeah,
one time. Jay Billis went on TV and he said that they need to start signing kids to contracts, like multi-year
I
deals.
think so too.
I saw that.
That's
Yeah,
insane
because you incentivize them, you
to
incentivize them
stay.
to stay. It's like you wouldn't have this platform or this opportunity to be this version of yourself if you weren't coming to this university. And so, you should be there should be some sort of obligation, binding
Yeah.
obligation to players, because if not, then you get what you have right now, and you can see how it's been hurting the men's side, right? The women's side hasn't got to
It's
that
about
point
to.
yet, but you know, the proof is right in front of you. If this continues, you might run into the same issues on the women's side. So, I think contracts would be good. I think the 1 year sit out would be good as well, because players need to really think about why they want to leave a place and if it's worth leaving. Um, and you can't do that if there are
You
no
could leave. You could transfer every single year if you wanted and not miss.
and make
Yeah, it's
more
ridiculous.
and more and
And yes,
more and
that's
more.
amazing, great, but like Diamond said, there's no, like, incentives. So, yeah, the players who are getting their endorsement stuff off outside of basketball, like, that's not gonna change whether you make them sit, whatever. That's not gonna change. The money
And
that
it
people are
shouldn't.
getting from the universities, I think that's the only place they can regulate in any capacity is that money. The outside money, that has nothing to do with the
Yeah.
school. Like whether they're at this school, that school, that school, if the companies and brands are attracted to this particular player, they gonna follow them. So like, let's not even think about that stuff.
Well, and I'm thinking for the school themselves, there's also that added incentive of, well, number one, like Diamond mentioned, it should be a thought before you leave a place where you want to go next. You should really have to think about that. But also when you commit, you should just be committing anywhere because, oh, they're offering me this amount of money and I could stay for a year and I could leave if I really want to and make more.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it benefits the schools to have some structure in place for them to have to stay for a certain amount of time because if Flauget is at a different school every year in the Google
It
commercials,
doesn't make
then
sense.
what does that
Or
do for the
exactly.
schools?
It's confusing.
And you add this revenue share in, schools are about to be paying even more to their student athletes. So there's gonna be even more money. I mean, you see the girl Oklahoma, she just signed for like 1.3.
I'm
Like,
telling you, all the top players are going to the SEC. In the next 3 years, every top player is going to be in the SEC because,
it's that old money.
yeah, the other conferences simply can't compete because they got the TV money, they got the football money. Their boosters are clearly just super wealthy and they love their universe. I will say, people who go to SEC schools have a lot of pride, whether they're athletes or not. So,
I know that's right.
yeah, so it's
Period.
like that money is coming in from everywhere. So, like, I foresee the SEC running the table I mean, they running it right now, low key. They're on the way, and they're doing it for men already. So, football, women's basketball, men's basketball is all gonna live in the SEC, and, like, I don't know what that's gonna look like for the rest of the schools. Like, what are these other schools
I
gonna do?
mean,
Like, they're gonna be Power 5 schools with 2 star recruits because everyone's going to the same conference now. It's like you gonna have
well, what if they privatize that conference
like
and like make it
something
like
dramatic is gonna
a
happen.
league?
Something dramatic's gonna
You know,
happen.
like,
Oh
Like I
my
was just
god.
you
talking
know,
to one of
But
my
what about the other sports?
exactly. I mean, exactly. What about the other sports? Like, let's start with that. Like, we are so hyper focused on basketball and
I don't
football,
know.
but like, yes, like, what about the other freaking sports? Your team, your men basketball team and women's basketball teams and football teams suck. Those other programs are gonna get cut. Like,
It's
it's
really
so
sad.
sad. I was talking to one of my friends who was telling me about the SMU coaching staff getting fired because SMU looked like a JV high school team in the ACC.
That was dumb as
When they
hell.
announced that, I was like, "Ooh,
So now the whole staff, you
wow."
lose your jobs because y'all made a selfish decision to move a team that has no business being in the ACC, playing in the ACC. And now you have a lot of unhappiness going on because why are y'all in that conference? Y'all don't have
Well, what about the travel?
yeah,
Like,
that
for
again.
the travel's a mess right now.
Yeah. I mean, when
I can't make sense of
when
it.
USC and
I can't
Cal
make sense
and
of it.
Stanford, like even Stanford, like I didn't watch Stanford play that much this year, but like Stanford has never, they've always been good, like no matter what, like whatever they have a superstar, not a superstar, whatever, they've always been solid. I've never seen a Stanford team look like the one that they had this year. And I'm gonna say that the travel was probably insane. You're in the ACC, right? They're in the ACC now.
I went to watch their volleyball team play Georgia Tech, and I'm sitting there thinking, these girls are in college. They got class tomorrow.
They're in
And they're
Atlanta.
in Atlanta playing a volleyball game. What the hell
Like
is
every
this?
And we already know, like that trip after the game, you getting in at 3 a.m., you got an 8
And
a.m.
I don't
class.
even know
First
if
of
the
all your
volleyball teams
classes
travel private or not. I don't know.
It depends on the school.
you have to have the early class as a student athlete because you got practice in the afternoon. So you got them 8 a.m.s, you got the 10 a.m.s. So if you get in at 2, 3, 4 a.m., guess
Get
what?
your ass up.
You gotta get your ass up.
Like there was just no rhyme and reason behind it. And yeah, I think we all got so caught up in the yes, athletes are making money. Like fuck the NCAA. But like, no, it's the shit show now.
Well, people are quiet about the actually making money from the school part. And that's why I think a lot of people have less reservations about it because not as many people, obviously, we're in sports circles. So we're aware of, dang, you made how much to transfer to where? But the average fan, the media is not gassing that up like they're gassing up. Oh, they were in a Google commercial.
Yeah, like that doesn't have anything to
Yeah.
do with the schools. And
Majority of the players are making their money from the university. There's only a handful who have TV deals and who have big brand deals. Like that's like the nth percentile. You know, like most every college athlete is getting paid from the collective,
and it's not that much.
and which will then turn to the revenue share, which is like I don't know how many millions of dollars distributed amongst what men's basketball, women's basketball, and football, I believe. It's like $25 million.
And then the rest of the sports get the crumbs. But it's crazy because even I just read an article about South Carolina women's basketball team and that they lost money. They lose money every year, right? So the business of college sports and the business of professional sports is so different. You lose $4 or $5 million a year. You not paying anybody because you can't. So in college, it's so different. It's like, it's just as backwards to me because as amazing as the South Carolina program is, and they are selling out arenas and they're winning championships, they have still lost money every year. And that's not a dig at the program. That's just it's numbers. So
Yeah.
Well, but then you also have the boosters. Like I was just joking with my friends when we were at the Elite Eight the other day. I was like, man, if Georgia basketball don't get it together, I'm gonna have to make me some money so I can start paying the NIL money myself.
like I have
That's what the game is
a
now.
friend who was like, if I have money, I would give it to the NIL collective. I want them to get money too. I'm like, people really feel that way about the athletes.
I'm like, I'd be going out to recruit myself. If I had just like throwaway money, if I were one of these big billionaires that went to a school, man.
Okay, wait.
Oh my
So
God.
this article, I just pulled it up. They said that in South Carolina, their finances from fiscal year 2024, which is July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. The football program profit $31 million. Men's basketball profit $3.5 million. Women's basketball loss $5.6 million.
How?
That doesn't make it has to be the TV deals.
That doesn't make sense.
It has to be because of the
Isn't
TV
that
deals.
crazy?
Right?
Women's basketball team is not good.
Exactly. They said that most of
Isn't
said
that
a lot
Dawn's
of,
like
yes, that's what
salary?
they said. It's the most of it is the salaries, the coaches' salaries. And then every other sport lost money except for, so before y'all get on their head, every sport except for men's basketball and football lost millions of dollars for the university.
But then how they making money? Because neither one of them good.
Hello? But SEC football, you already know. You
Yeah.
already know. It's just that they gonna make money regardless.
So it's like, okay, so now you look at the business of sports now, because now that's what that's what college is. It's not just fun shits and gigs anymore in college. Like this is now real money is being made and distributed to the athletes and whatever. What does that look like for sports programs that don't make money? Because now they're implementing this revenue share thing. Like what I feel like it's not gonna be good for the majority.
How do you
Yeah,
stay
no.
competitive?
It's
Yeah,
not
I don't
you're
know.
losing $6 million a year.
But even schools are like hiring general managers now.
I
You know,
saw
like it's
that.
becoming, I'm telling y'all,
It's
like it's
they are
becoming
this
like
close
it's
to
about to
becoming
privatize.
pros, which is
Yes, it's about to be like that pipeline, you know, like in Europe where you could play like second division, third division. It's gonna kind of be like that. I feel like it's gonna be like a pro league, but it's like the certain teams of certain universities are gonna exist separate of the university, and they're gonna exist in like a league or
and then what
something.
does that
It's
mean? And then what does
insane.
that
And then where
mean?
does school come in?
They don't care.
Oh,
Mariah,
I
you know
don't
they don't
know.
care about school. They
Yeah,
Then
I
what's
first
don't
of all,
the
know.
point?
they haven't
Exactly.
cared about school for way before NIL, trust me. But now they definitely don't. And now what does that mean for the actual pro leagues that exist? Like, are we gonna have to start having like WNBA, NCAA, like separate things? Like you have these are the 12 players that finna get drafted. So we're gonna put them in an academy over here and do like it's gonna
Right.
like I don't know what's gonna
Why am I
happen.
getting stressed out?
I
Girl.
mean, I don't know. I just think there's so much change still yet to
Yeah.
come.
I mean, and that's just the
Like so
basketball
much.
nerd and business of basketball nerd in me. That these are these things keep me up at night, guys. They really do. Because I want to be a general manager, but like now I'm like, shit, do I want to be a college general manager? Because there's a
Right.
hella money in that. And okay, so now we're gonna pivot since you mentioned like the European style. Since Juju got hurt, there's been a lot of conversation about, how she's gonna make her return. Is she gonna stay for her all of her eligibility years? Blah, 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 blah. They need to change the rule. Players need to be able to leave after one season, all this kind of stuff. If y'all didn't know, Diamond had 1 year of eligibility left at Tennessee and she decided to go pro. So this has happened before. Players have not done all their years of eligibility they've left. Diamond's done it. I think Jewel Lloyd did it.
Epiphany did
Tiffany
it.
did it.
Piff was the first one,
I
I
think
think.
Jackie Young might have came out early.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
for y'all, like early means you have to be 22 in the draft year. So whether you turn 22 before the draft or after draft, it just has to be in that year. So nobody is stopping anybody from leaving early. But Diamond, can you like talk about like how you made that decision? And I remember when you did make that decision, it did not go over well. So can you like talk about
Yeah,
it?
yet again. Yet again, I felt like the sacrificial lamb of like big decisions in women's college basketball. Like, but I mean, like you said, there are certain parameters that have to be met before you can even make that decision to turn pro on the female side, which a lot of people don't know about. So you have to either be 22 years of age or, have graduated college, which again is why players in the W are just so smart and intelligent because we all have degrees. Um, but yeah, I mean, when I made my decision, obviously, like there was no money being made in college. So and the draft had already passed. So the only thing that I could do was go play in Europe. And when I saw that contract and I saw that dollar amount, it was pretty much a no-brainer for me that I was gonna leave. So I went and played in Turkey, had a blast, and then got drafted the following year.
So I'm like, when people talk about like the college holding players back and the WNBA needs to change the rule, I'm like, y'all want us to change an entire rule for like two people.
Yeah, it's it's really it really amazes me how mediocre people think the W is talent wise.
That is a hill I've been dying
Um
on for months, Diamond. Literally being
and
crucified on it. Like,
and how like just how common the thought is that there are multiple pros in college right now, in the draft class rather, that can go to a training camp and make a team. I'm like, you guys don't pay attention. You don't really understand the depth of these rosters and how most teams don't even have a spot to take or make. So um staying in school is pretty wise, especially considering the amount of money that can be made.
Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, because I don't even know, like, with our CBA stuff, Diamond's in these meetings too for the CBA. Like, I've always like thrown around the idea of possibly guaranteeing rookie contracts, at least like their first 2 years. Because when people are like, oh yeah, they can come out early and da 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 da. It's not like the NBA. Those, if you're a first rounder, you can get cut in training camp the year you get drafted. Like, and we've seen it happen. So now I'm like, you're asking, you want 19, 20, 21-year-old women to leave school degreeless and then just be out in the wild. Like, that's what y'all want?
Yeah.
Because y'all think 2 players in the last 10 years have been pro ready early, which, again, going back to the thinking the league is mediocre, we've seen plenty of pro ready players early in their career. Diamond actually was one of them as well. So I just think that conversation is dumb. But like talking to someone like you, Diamond, that left early, did you think that helped you or hurt you? Like, do you wish you stayed? Money aside, in hindsight, are you still like happy that you forewent your senior year?
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, I was happy with my decision because, again, the landscape was so different. I was finally able to get paid for doing a job that I'd been doing for free for so long. I was coming off of a leg surgery. My health was, you only get to play basketball for so long. And so at that time, staying in college for 4 years was just like, it was a major sacrifice on like prime playing years for a female basketball player. However, economically, it made sense for you to stay in school and get your degree because in the event that you leave and you get cut from a team, now you don't have no job and you don't have a degree and you don't have no money.
Right.
So again, when I was making my decision, I had already graduated college. So that was the big make or breaker for me. I had the degree. So I would have been staying to do a grad year where I wouldn't have been in no classes. I would have been a professional athlete for free.
Yeah.
And that just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, the degree was the big, make or breaker for me. After I got that, it was time to go.
Said I'm out.
Like you said, a lot of people underestimate how hard it actually is to maintain a spot in the W, let alone separate yourself enough to have a long withstanding career and be a star to make the kind of money they might be making in college. And I think that it feels like I hate when this conversation comes up because maybe just as a fan, it feels so simple to me. But why would you not choose to get your degree for free because you're on scholarship? And then now you're also getting paid. So that's like a whole other thing. A lot. Paid amounts of money that there's no salary cap, there's no rules. You're getting paid whatever. And then number 3, you're still getting to do the commercials and the endorsement deals and get sent stuff and do all that stuff. What's the benefit? And then also on top of that, what you were speaking about, Diamond, earlier, the idea of getting to make a name for yourself at this university because of the fandoms that the university already has and the history that these universities already have. Like, you're getting to establish yourself, make a name for yourself, get a degree for free, and get paid.
Why would you leave?
Why would you want to rush that process?
Exactly.
Why would you leave? The only time it makes sense is if you're a guy and
Because
you're
your
walking
window
into a
is small.
situation where you're making 20 million or however
Ding,
much
ding,
they
ding,
make.
ding.
I'm like, it's perfect right now to be a female athlete in college. It's the most no-brainer is thought process of stay your ass in
For
school.
as long as you can.
As long as you can. You see the dude at Florida's pro day, he's like 27. And he's like, I'm like, yeah, do that if you can.
that.
On the women's
Stay
side.
forever.
Because It's just what makes the
And
most
there's
sense.
no
But
yeah,
also,
the
I feel like
window.
it's good for new fans of the W because coming in, when you've seen Juju all 4 years or whatever at USC and you saw her get hurt and she comes back, she's a crazy year, blah, 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 all of this stuff, and then carries that momentum with her. Like, as a fan, I'd rather see that story than see her leave prematurely, and not Juju specifically because she's obviously
Yeah, she's
incredible,
different.
but see people leave prematurely and then get
Yeah.
cut. And I'm
Or
like,
buried on the
ugh.
bench, and that's
Yeah.
what used to happen, is, like, you have these All-Americans getting drafted, and out of the first round, maybe 2 or 3 get real minutes their rookie season.
Not because I'm curious what y'all think about this. That's me and Lexie talk about that all the time, rookies getting benched. That's another thing that I feel like as the media starts talking more about women's basketball, but not actually watching it, that's a thing I hear a lot of, well, you should just play them because we know who they are and
Yeah.
we've been hearing about them, blah, blah, blah.
There's a
I hate
balance.
that. It hurts the level of community. But what do you guys think about, because I hear them in the sense where it's like, okay, marketing, whatever, but you can't sacrifice the level of basketball
Well, we
being
saw
played
that
for
happen
that.
probably in, like, the last third of the season. I feel like a lot of teams were like, "Okay, go rookies, go." And then that playoff push come in, and they're like, "All right, y'all need to chill out, sit down, and we gonna put the vets on the floor to go win a championship."
Yeah,
But I like
it's
seeing it.
it's it's evident what wins and what has success. And the franchises and the organizations who um li- keep that at the forefront, in terms of people who work hard, people who are professionals, people who play hard and who are consistent. They're the ones who have success. You can play that game with the media
You
and
gonna lose.
put players out there but you're going to lose, and you're going to continue to um enhance this idea that that's what it means to be, a star player in this league, when that idea only just started to exist. We've had stars in this league for decades who didn't get no credit, none of the, props and attention that they deserve, that they should have had. So I think that we would be doing the league a disservice if we, continued or started to kind of do that.
Pander. I call that pandering, and I'm tired of it.
Yes.
I'm sick of it, and I hope that this season I hope everyone learned when they looked at who was in the finals what pandering does for you. It gets you sent home, because we saw 2 very veteran heavy teams in the finals and gave us an amazing product. So,
With
with
stars,
stars.
actually, like, with stars. I don't
Yeah.
but the media controls who the stars are. That's a whole other conversation for a whole other day, but who we're talking about and who we're pushing are gonna be the stars. It's
It is
whether
what it
they're playing that
is.
well or
Yep.
not. And so if you put these people that are just magnets for being talked about out in the forefront on the basketball court up against people who've been in the league for years and years and years that are like,
You know what's
please,
crazy?
you're doing them a
You
disservice
know
too, because then they
but you know
look
what's crazy?
bad.
It's crazy that you said that, because, we were talking about how in college now everybody's, like, spreading out. In the W, it's like it's going opposite.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to team up now.
Yeah.
It's like opposite now. Like, now in the W,
Yeah.
it's like you're more powerful as a collective. If you got a group of us that are outgoing, have good brand, can hoop, like, you're better if there's more of y'all. And in college, like, you're better off if there's more of y'all doing that. And in college, you're kind of better off if you're all kind of spread out a little bit more. So it's like very interesting how, like, the dynamic has, like, completely flip-flopped between college and W.
Yeah, I think the course of events by which marketing has been incorporated into women's sports, it definitely has peaked in college before um, it has, met the
Yeah.
pros. So, it makes sense in college because, it's just such a big thing in college right now. But, for those of us who've been professional, it's like, a lot of us still trying to get brand deals, still trying to get paid outside of just your basketball salaries. Whereas it's just a bit more common in college, it seems, and lucrative.
No, for sure.
Well, another thing with the whole it being spread out in college to make money, whereas, like, in the league, it seems to be doing the opposite. I feel like listen, I'm not in the WNBA, so y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's also because you get judged when you're in the pros based off of
Performance.
winning, like, winning championships. So if we team up, we'll win.
Well, and baby, we got to see if you gonna still be here in a few years because how many players do we see come out and by the second year you be like, damn, where they go? You know, you can't as a brand, you're not about to, create a multi-year partnership with somebody where you don't even know if they're gonna
On
be
the
on a
team
team.
anymore. I mean, you said I'm dealing with that right now. They're like, damn, we thought you was
Yes.
gonna be LA for a minute. Now the opportunities shift a little bit. They change. Like
Well, Lexi, you're about to benefit from what I was just talking about, winning culture.
winning. Okay,
Period.
and before we get out of here, Diamond, if y'all didn't know, Diamond is now on the Connecticut Sun, and the organization has been a bit under attack as of late. So, Diamond, I want you to provide some, hopefully, positivity and some light on what y'all got going on in Connecticut. I'm very excited for you, by the way, to be there and be able to get back to hooping the way you hoop. So, if you could let our listeners know what the vibes are in Connecticut. You were just up there. You did a broadcast for the Celtics, which was fire. So
Yeah.
I know that's
yeah, give
right.
the listeners a little insight on what's going on up there.
Well, the vibes in Connecticut are great, actually. Whole front office, everybody is really looking forward to this season. Obviously a lot of departures in the off season, big departures. Um, but I've been a part of a rebuild before. I've successfully rebuilt before in an organization in Chicago where it was kind of a mess when I got there, and then we won a championship. So, this is not foreign territory for me. Like, I'm excited about the opportunity to be a part of a franchise that honestly has winning pedigree, has, that DNA still exists. And just continuing to build on it. Like, you can say what you want about the team and the decisions that have been made. But Lexi, on any given night, anything can
Yeah.
happen. Any team can win.
Mhm.
We have a talented team. We have a good group. I'm really excited about playing for Rashid and the rest of the coaching staff. One of the big things for me is just like no narratives. We get to go there and
Just
just like
play.
hoop,
Yeah.
just play, which people underestimate and undervalue. It's really nice to be in a space where basketball is the focal point. Um, so yeah, there's a lot to look forward to in Connecticut. You know what I'm saying? And for those who maybe feel differently, it's kind of just something that you'll just have to wait and see. And again, all eyes we appreciate. So
Mhm.
even if you're watching to see
If it's a shit show.
something, yeah, like, we we
Hey,
still
watching.
here. We
It's
still
still
here.
watching. Y'all
So
still watching.
yeah. So I'm excited and I'm really grateful and fortunate for the opportunity, man. Like having a job in this league is a blessing.
Facts.
You never take it for
Never.
granted, no matter where it is. So I'm really happy.
Good. I'm glad. See y'all, it's not horrible up there. It's not as bad as y'all think. Because people
Yeah,
was going
look,
in on the Connecticut Sun. I was like, all right,
I
y'all. I mean,
mean,
there was question marks. Not gonna lie. But again, we're all professionals here, and y'all don't have like y'all's team is not trash by any means.
but
Y'all gonna be all
Lexi,
right.
Lexi, like you already know, bruh. Everything ain't always what it
Mm-mm.
seems. Where,
Good or bad,
so
good and bad.
unless you there on a day to day, you can't really speak on
Right?
it, and
Y'all
that's
heard
the
that? Say it
truth.
again, Diamond.
Unless you there on a day to day, bruh,
Shut up.
you can't speak on it.
Shut your
You
mouth.
know.
Okay.
Lord.
Is that a good place to end?
uh,
Because I felt like that was a nice little call out to people who got too much things to say with very limited information. But Diamond, I'm so happy we made this happen. It was a little earlier than I
Yeah,
was
this was awesome.
expecting, but I think this was the perfect moment, perfect opportunity. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation, and I will see y'all next week on the Full Circle Podcast.
Bye, y'all.
Yes, sir.